Says live.
It says it on your end, but apparently now it finally says it on my end.
Uh,
Hello, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and it's going to be a different kind of show for me, at least, because quite honestly, I'm more worried about the weather at this point than anything else. But we will marshal through.
Oh, is Marshall coming on?
No, that would be Marshall Lager.
Uh, we're going to be drinking beer?
No,
Oh,
I
I'm getting confused.
probably should have gotten some beer. Anyway, we are the CRM players, and I was gonna do the. We've been bringing the. Well, you know what we usually bring since 2009, but I don't even have my. I see I'm all out of whack because I don't even have my slides up.
That's all right. This is a casual show.
Is it casual Thursday?
That's right. I mean,
But we do have one of our show staples is back.
We have. Oh, finally! God, where have you been?
It's the moment of Sven.
Oh,
comments are coming in on time and everything. This is great.
Oh, Sven, man, you've made the show. We can just wrap now.
And Sahil's here.
Sahil, my friend. He's
I mean, wasn't that a song? Wasn't that Sahil, my friend? Anyway, something like that.
I have no clue. I never heard that.
Speaking of no clue, you want to go back to
Latin?
Is that Latin?
Yes.
I see Toto. I was going to say something.
No, it's the quocunque. Quocunque cum veritas. Wait,
that's easy for you.
Whatsoever things are true. It's quacumque, not quocumque. But I mean, that was Northwestern's, Latin motto. Whatsoever things are true. Quocumque sunt veritas. And that's quocunque. It's close enough for me to think that's Latin.
The moment should be something
special. Must not be ever.
Really?
Oh no, man.
He's switching it up. Oh, by the way, you're right.
I knew it. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. Yeah. Whatsoever. Quacumque is whatsoever, and quocunque is obviously wherever.
Que sera sera is whatever will be will be.
I had dental work done on Monday, and my mouth is horrible right now. This will be a show with a bad mouth. I'm going to bad mouth our own show.
Yeah, well, bad mouth, bad weather.
I know. What a wreck we are. Yeah. We're like a wreck today.
I'm glad to be here at this moment. Yeah, so we thought we'd spend some time because it's been like the last couple of weeks. It's been like back to back conferences because we've gotten past Labor Day and the fall conference season is in full effect. You and I both are at Oracle Cloud World. That was what, 2 weeks ago? Feels like so long ago.
Almost 3.
And I actually, because I was kind of doing double duty, so while Cloud World was going on, Oracle NetSuite Suite World was also going on. So
same location.
Cloud World was at the Venetian, and Suite World was at Caesar's Forum, which you would think they don't sound all that far away, but when you're walking it, it's a pretty good distance. So I was going back and forth for like 3 straight days. I think I had like average 15,000 steps a day.
Yeah. Good for your health.
So it was definitely good. Well, yeah, Vegas usually isn't, but the walking is. So that was 2 weeks ago. Last week, we were both at Dreamforce, and we were there for the better part of 3 or 4 days. Once again, lots of stuff going on. Yeah. Now, then this week, I had the opportunity to check out Verint Engage and saw some of our folks like Rebecca Wedeman and Liz Lemon. I did say Lemon. I did not mean to say Lemon. Liz Miller. Liz Lemon. She's as funny as Liz Lemon. She's funnier, actually. Yeah.
Don't tell Tina Fey.
Yeah, won't do that. And I know while was it? Oh, while Dreamforce was going on, Workday Rising, is that what they call
Yep.
it?
Workday
Like
Rising.
Bad Moon Rising or something?
No, that's SAP's conference.
Oh,
Bad Moon
ouch.
Rising. Ooh,
Ooh.
yeah.
And not only was that, so usually companies tend to stay away from doing their vendor conferences when Dreamforce is going on, but not only was Workday Rising going on, in HubSpot Inbound was also going on. So, man, there's just lots of stuff going on. And we're only like 3 weeks into the fall.
Although this is the heavy end. The lighter end comes now. I mean,
50.
you and I have got Zoomtopia and
So we got
and
Zoomtopia coming up, not next week, the following week.
right, and then at the end of the month we've got user testing.
Yeah, and these are both two conferences that we've never been to before,
Yeah.
so it's going to be really interesting to check those out.
Well, user testing, we're going to see old friends though, like Susie Penner and Jamie Anderson are going to both be there, and not only old friends, but Jamie, of course, as you well know, was a play in residence for a while, and is one of the, let's say, not only most knowledgeable people in the industry, but funniest people in the industry.
Well, his Sean Connery and Michael Caine and Sir Alec Guinness. Am I missing any?
Those are the big three.
Yeah, those are the ones that you could
Kills.
just do it on demand. You just have to do it and it just goes right into it. So yeah, it'll be cool to see them. And well, and at Zoomtopia, we do have one friend,
Yes.
Steph Trihane. Is that her?
I think
name?
it's pronounced Trihane.
Yeah,
I'm still thinking Londonio in my head, bro.
right. But I think it's Trihane.
Trihane, yeah.
So we'll
Londonio Trihane.
yeah. So we're looking forward to Zoomtopia for the first time, and I think user testing, they have one interesting. It's because I know the acronym is this. Is it the Human Insight?
I don't remember, but it's the human something.
I think it's the Human
What's the
Insight, but I don't
S?
know what the S is.
Human insight. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense given that what they do is so different than pretty much anyone else out there.
Yeah.
They are. I don't know. What's going to be interesting to see how, if and how they incorporate AI into their specific model, because their model is absolutely based on human beings. I mean, there's literally, that is the model. It's humans.
By the
And
way, it's the Human Insight Summit. This.
we should have kind of figured that part out,
Yeah,
actually.
this.
Yes.
I like that. That's a pretty good acronym, I think. So we're looking forward to that. So we thought, since we've already gone to like 3, I guess, I think I count 4 if I count Sweet World and Cloud World.
Yeah, I'm on my retirement tour, so I'm down to 2.
So, and then I'm hoping, since we did not get a chance to go to Workday Rising, the Brohammer did. And so I'm hoping that we might get a special report on Workday Rising from the Brohammer. And I don't know if there's anybody that actually went to HubSpot Inbound.
That didn't reach anybody who did. There is one person that we have a chance at. Hopefully, I can see if I can ping him again during the show and see if we can come on. In fact, I can do it while we're sitting here right now, for that matter.
Well, while we're sitting here right now, I do have some housekeeping.
You got it right.
I think I'm on a roll now.
That's right.
I had like a
things in a row,
mental block going on for the
things in a row that you got.
But as you do that, you can also talk a little bit about what's going on later tonight.
Yeah. So we normally, as you know, we have EWPK Wednesday, last Wednesday of the month. Yesterday was my 43rd anniversary, so the plan was to not have it, so I could go somewhere with Yvonne, as it worked out, we didn't go anywhere, but we had something planned, but she just wasn't up to it. And so we didn't. That said, also, this was the day we could get this gentleman. Now, I don't know if you know who Michael Berg is, but he is a screenwriter, he's a producer, he's a director in Hollywood, and he's known for the movies, these movies in the aughts and teens that were incredibly popular. They were animated films. They were the Ice Age trio. I think there were three. I've seen all three of them, and again, I in my head I've seen three, not more than that. I don't remember a fourth. Um, and they're all insanely entertaining. They were wildly popular in their day. So we're going to talk to Michael about writing in Hollywood and directing in Hollywood and producing in Hollywood and what that means. And of course, I'm sure we'll bring up AI somewhere in there. But at the same time, I'm just interested in the whole process of his history and the whole process of animation and film and how that works. Because that's, you look at Disney and you look at Pixar, it's a multi-billion-dollar part of the film industry unto itself and insanely wildly popular. So this is going to be an amazing show, and I highly recommend everyone who's hearing me at any point today before this is on, come and watch it, 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Go to LinkedIn, you'll see it there. Of course, go to the YouTube if you want to, you'll see it there. Facebook, you'll see it there, and watch. And maybe we're never going to pay for X to broadcast, so you won't see it there. Elon Musk not getting our money.
Yeah, so that's later today, and then next week I got a special, a few good minutes, and this is really special because this is like three experts when it comes to VC, well, venture capital, private equity, angel investing, and they're all like been around the block when it comes to enterprise apps.
And they're great people. Alex doesn't look a day older than when the day we first met him.
Yeah, so
Sicily.
Yeah, so well, actually, I don't know, was Scott with Sicily? I know he was at desk.com once Sicily was brought over. But anyway, so we met both Alex and Scott via Sicily/desk. Sicily was they didn't win. They were a finalist.
Yes.
And the reason why they couldn't win was because right after I think it was right after we announced the finalists, they announced that they were getting acquired by Salesforce.
Yeah, this is the CRM Idol. Back in
2013,
2013, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So once that happened, they couldn't win the contest. But we got a chance to know them even more so after they became, part of the Salesforce family, and they were originally desk.com. And so both Scott Bichuk and Alex Bard, they were, software enterprise app guys and customer service guys. And eventually what happened is they both kind of went, their different ways from desk, but they both went into VC. So Scott is a partner at Norwest Venture Partners, and Alex is the managing, what do they call him? Managing partner? Managing something like that for Redpoint Ventures. And so it's great. So they know each other well. And of course, the man in the middle kind of needs no introduction to our audience. He is the voice of PPN. I still call him the Golden Smog of CRM. He's also sometimes called the Midas of Martech, although I think he's kind of retiring that a little bit.
Yeah.
But once you become something, can you actually retire that?
No, I tried to retire the Godfather thing a long time ago.
Nah, that'll never go away. It's like the Brohammer, that title will never go away. By the way, I see
he's locked and loaded now.
He's in the green room, and he's
all right.
He's looking good there. So next Wednesday, if I do have power, you never know what's going to happen here tonight over to into the morning. But if I do have power, then we're going to bring these three folks together because, they run the gambit. They have the enterprise app experience. They have startup experience. They have VC experience. They have PE experience. And so I thought it'd be cool to bring them together and just have a non unscripted, or is it not? It's unscripted, right? It's not
Unscripted.
Yeah, it's unscripted. Unscripted conversation about what's going on with AI, with the economy, with VC, with PE when it comes to enterprise apps. So this is going to be a lot of fun, I think. So that is next Wednesday, noon Eastern. And if you have any interest in any of those 3 or 4 things or all of them, you should join us because we love to, get your questions and your takes. Let's make it a round robin kind of conversation. That's the way I look at it. And there'll be a few great minutes. I should change it to. So, okay. So before we start talking about the conferences.
Oh no.
You know what? I'm telling you, this weather has thrown me off a little bit because I do have my Stump the Godfather question of the week, but I didn't have my my promo.
The intro?
I gotta have the intro before I can do that.
Otherwise, it loses its complete effect.
Yeah, but guess what? The effect is back.
Oh.
And now it's time for Stump the Godfather.
That's with
the venerable Paul Greenberg. Brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
And that is Benny Hill still. All right. Stump the Godfather. I better not mess this up. This is a little a brand new. This is like hot off the presses. I literally just got this information either late last night or early this morning or something like that. So I hope I don't screw this up. Oh God, thank you. All right. So this week's Stump the Godfather brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. The shopping season is coming up, the fourth quarter, the big, where all the retailers make all their money and where we spend most of ours. So, U.S. online sales is expected to hit 240.8, and I know the 0.8 is really thrown in just for you. 240.8 billion this holiday shopping season, November 1st to December 31st. So that's not even including the Amazon Prime Day that's coming up. Oh, so wow. Here's the question now. What percentage of that will come from mobile shopping? So 240.8 overall. What percentage of that 240.8 will be done via mobile devices? Anybody out there who has a guess, throw it out there. And our do we call him like he's not a roving reporter. He or is he an affiliate or something?
Who?
The Brohammer, because he's going to be talking.
No, I mean, it's funny you said that. When we were talking about him earlier, I was saying, why don't we create some title for this guy as part of CRM Playaz, because he's so.
Well, we already gave him Brohammer, right?
No, that's his nickname. I'm talking about you know how I have Playaz in residence, but he's even more than that, really.
Like a correspondent.
Maybe he's off.
Wait a minute, did you give me an thumbs up on that one, or did you?
How about no?
His hand kind of went shaky there.
Why don't we call him that? Just because it sounds so ridiculous, we'll call him our foreign correspondent.
Oh my goodness! Okay,
he'll be our foreign correspondent.
Well, while we're doing that, we do have some guests coming in. Christine Randall coming in strong at 60%.
Yeah.
Sahil is coming in even stronger at 92%. Sven, wait a minute. Now this is quite the irony.
Yeah.
Both Sven and Alan Bergson, coming in at the exact same 47%. How could that happen?
That may be the number.
And Alan is saying that the Brohammer should be the at-large correspondent. What about the at-large and in-charge correspondent? I like that. Give him a little bit more oomph. I mean, you already got a lot of oomph with the Brohammer. By the way, the Brohammer does have his own guess.
Which?
He's going with 61%. So he's doing the Price is Right deal here. Are we doing that?
No, we don't do that one. We've never done that. You just said it once or twice. We've never done it. It's very simple.
Oh, wait a minute. No, Sven, you're already locked in at 47. All right. Sure.
Oh no, we can give him. We can give him
We
separation.
all right. So then we got to give Alan the same,
Alan, if you'd like to modify your choice,
and Christine agrees with me.
okay.
The at-large and in charge correspondent.
All right. Well, then that's it.
I like that.
If we got Christine agreeing, it's then John can Brohammer is now the at-large and in charge correspondent for CRM Playaz.
By the way, before we get the answer out,
and the PPN network.
Yeah. Do we have to put a cap on how many nicknames or titles we give people on this thing?
No, why?
It just feels like like Anand. He's the voice of the channel. He's the Midas of Martech. He's the Golden Smog of CRM. I mean, by the time the show was over, we would have only talked about nicknames and stuff. So
that's pretty normal for us anyway.
And Alan is saying no one. See, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking once you throw your guests out there, you gotta stick to it. But
well, I think you can. I think we should allow people to change until my guess.
Oh, what's right? We haven't even gotten to your guess yet.
That's what I mean, and so it's still open. So if you want to, that's it. But once I'm guessing, you're done. There's no.
All right. Well, it's time for you to guess because we've already got. We've got we got a 60%, we got a 97%, we got a
92%.
We had a 92, we had 247s, was I think one switch to a 53%. And now the venerable Paul Greenberg, it is your turn to guess.
54%.
Oh man.
I'm going to reach 57%. That's
57%.
57, not 4.
So we got 53. Well, we got 47. We got 53. We got 60. We got 57.
Got 60, 61.
And then a 92.
And 92.
And a 61. All right. The answer to this week's Stump the Godfather question, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot, is, and we still have no drum roll, but you can hear the rain whipping off my house. That'll be it. The answer is
53. Sven.
So originally Sven was 47, and then he changed to 53. That doesn't seem like you should get it full credit for that, because your first hunch should be what we go.
And listen, J.R. Clark once guessed right, and then he made us laugh our asses off because he said he cheated. Right.
You know what? He could have had time to look it up after he said 47%.
We need you to sign a document that says you did not look this up.
Yeah, he said 50, but then he said 57, so he went hard on 57.
No, I went hard on 57.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You originally said 53, and then you moved it up.
Oh, yeah.
So
I were 54. No, I said 54.
Oh, you said 54. Okay.
Right, I did.
So
that was literally a slip of the tongue. I was thinking about what you were saying about The Price is Right.
Christine is saying all gives Finn full credit.
Yeah, she's just kind.
I know she's just a very nice person.
You really are, Christine.
Yeah, unfortunately for Sven, we're not as nice as Christine.
And not only that, because Sven is changing the game, man, by saying he's going to show up once in a while.
I know. Yeah,
and the moment Sven is instrumental to this show.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man, you can't do that. Sahil is saying in India. All right, so iPads do, because I just saw this. iPads do count as mobile devices.
Yes,
by the way,
correct.
And then
I assume that
in India it would be above 80. Wow, that's pretty huge. Above 80.
That's interesting. Now that I'm thinking about it, I order online all the time, but it's never on my. Well, I guess once in a great while on the iPad Mini I order, but typically I almost always order on my phone, and it's just I just go there instead of. And I have the iPad Mini sitting right next to me.
I don't even
know.
The phone. Okay. Moving right along there. All right. So how do we give Sven like a half win, or how do we?
We'll give him. No, we can give him a little more than that. It's fair. He didn't cheat, so we'll give him 2/3 of a win.
All right, 2/3 of a win, Sven.
This is going to the rankings at the year end.
And if you had been doing the moment of Sven every week, we might have just given you the full.
Oh, we have one last announcement. We do.
We do?
Yes. IRL 2025 is now locked and loaded for January 21st and January 22nd in Atlanta at the Atlanta Tech Village. So set your calendars. If you're interested in coming, because it's invitation only, vendors, it's more sponsored, but if you're not a vendor, and we'll talk to the vendors about how we're going to handle all this, but if you're not a vendor and you're interested in coming, put your name, let us know, send us an email. If you want to send me one at Paul-Greenberg3 at the 56group.com, and I'll take care of getting you on the list, but you got to do it soon because our list is actually filling up. And now that we're locked and loaded and money's been put down, we've got a lot of work to do yet, but we're expecting to see a lot of you there.
And we have some special stuff too.
Oh, yes.
One in particular we can't talk about, but special.
Yes.
Very special.
Very.
All right. So Sven gets the half win in this week's Stump the Godfather. Did you like that one? I thought that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't like totally exciting, but it was interesting.
Has it ever been totally exciting?
No.
I didn't think so. I didn't think I missed out on that. Anyway, so that's that.
The more exciting thing was the fact that 240.8 billion is going to be online. I mean, I shop a lot on web browsers, basically, right? I mean, a lot of my Amazon is done while I'm sitting working during the day, and I go onto Amazon, order something, and then go back to work. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, that number is amazing.
So that number is up 8.4% from last year, and the 128.1 billion that's going to be spent on with mobile devices, that is up 12.8%. So
wow.
The overall number was up 8.8, and the number for mobile is up 12. So you can see mobile is driving the growth.
Well, I mean, it's look, ultimately, it's by far more convenient to go into a store when it boils down to it. It's simple as that. It's mobile takes 8 seconds basically, unless it's really a bad platform.
Yeah.
Order and you're done. And and if you want to look for things, you can do the searching you want to look, and it's highly. I mean, it works better. Now, there is an experience with a store that people want and like to have, and then they got stores to go to. But let's face it, mobile's the way to shop this, and by far the most convenient. Look, I have a good example. I just ordered a new PC because my productivity PC, that was now 4 years old, is showing me there's a lot of what they call coil whine, meaning the GPU is making an enormous amount of, it cries basically, right? It's making an enormous amount of noise. And it's just, I mean, enormous to me with hearing issues, seems to hit all the wrong frequencies. So I'm replacing it. And I was going to buy one on eBay, and I was on eBay. And I'm looking around eBay. I'm looking around everywhere for this one particular machine I was interested in after I did all my research with Copilot and everything else. And this guy had it, but he tested it, and he said it's not working. He's a very honest guy. He's actually in Rockville, Maryland, which is not too far from here. So I ended up talking to him on eBay and ended up buying a machine. It costs about the same as a custom machine, has the parts I want in it. I don't have to build it. And guess what? This guy is literally going to be in Fairfax tomorrow night, so he's going to drop it off at my house, right? I mean, but this was all done with online, 100%. I haven't met the guy yet, but he's, all the checks and balances that eBay puts in place are there for him, his ratings, everything else. I mean, you don't get that. There's no other way. That was insanely convenient. Wasn't a planned outcome, but the outcome itself worked perfectly. And it was just a matter of staying on my phone with communicating via eBay on my phone with this guy throughout the night. That was it.
It doesn't sound like he was an AI agent. He was an actual.
No, this guy he's a good guy. I mean, I really like the way he handles himself. And again, you can read people that way too, but you go to a store. If I had done this via a store, imagine what would have happened. I would have walked out unhappy, and that would have been it.
Well, you know who else is a good guy?
No, who?
This guy right here.
Oh, our at large and in charge correspondent.
Do you like that?
Hey, man, it's not bad for like 5 minutes of live brainstorming. um, I might need to run that by my co-pilot.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
Now you have to take the mic, throw it up so you can drop it.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. I'm sorry. I forgot. We don't talk about co-pilots anymore. That was
That's right.
That was so that was so earlier
trash
this
that
year.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. that's
All
why.
right. So the Brohammer joins us. I think we've
What
all
up?
been to at least 2 to 4 or 5. How many have you been to since Labor Day?
I think I'm in the 5 range now, but it feels like 25.
And it's
Yeah,
not like it's been that long ago. Like
No.
we're talking like 3 weeks at best or something.
Yeah.
Got this 5-to-1 ratio thing going though in terms of how things feel. I
I
know.
know, right?
I've been to 2, but that feels like 10. So here we are.
So why don't we do this? Because Brohammer is the only one that's been to Workday Rising, so we can't even speak to that. So before we ask you for your take on that, we were all at Cloud World, right? Did you go over to Sweet World at all, or were you?
I
pretty much-
ded.
Oh, okay. So
I
you and
did,
I
yeah.
kind of did the both. All right. So
Yeah.
since we all went to Cloud,
I had to get
World-
my steps in.
You ain't lying. There's a lot of steps too. But anyway, so we've had a couple of weeks to digest everything that went on at Cloud World. So after some time, what comes to mind? Any thoughts? Anything that really sticks out?
Well, it feels too obvious to make a zipper joke right now,
Yeah.
so I won't do that.
Thanks.
But
I know.
look, I mean, every show like it's all comes down to the follow through in the end for the customers, and so it's like, you know, kind of like popcorn in theater, but how much really matters. But I do think you can take away a few things, which is that Oracle thinks it can deliver far superior AI experiences for customers by owning the whole stack. And so they want to make that case, and they want to go out and earn it and prove it. And so we're going to find out. It's not every vendor can do that. Oracle's one of the few that can really deliver that full stack so-called AI value. So let's see what the value is. They claim that they can control costs that way, and therefore offer better pricing and all that stuff. And look, they're backing that up to some extent because they're one of the vendors that are not looking to charge for core embedded AI, and a lot of vendors are. I applaud the vendors that are not looking to charge for it because I think that's ultimately the future for embedded stuff. It's ridiculous. It's like, oh, you know, would you like just, you know, a stripped down app without any AI features? Like, no one's going to be able to get away with that in a few years. It's just going to be expected. So Oracle's going to try to back that up, but a lot of that remains to be seen. But I thought they set a strong tone there. And then, you know, where I think you can also take away is that, you know, security was a big topic for Oracle. And I like that also, even though I have a lot of questions around like biometrics for security. I think that's not as much of a no-brainer as apparently Larry Ellison seemed to imply. But having said that, like I do think that security is a top level item for a lot of customers, and you know it makes sense, you know, to me that a vendor would like emphasize that as well. So anyway, those are the things that I think really kind of lingered to me from that show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in agreement. I actually, because now we had time to go to Dreamforce and compare to the approach. I actually preferred overall the way Oracle was approaching the AI. Really, I mean, basically they said, look, you know, and it goes to the heart of your full stack discussion or argument, which is, look, you all human beings, you work. Okay, you got a lot of work to do every day. We're going to give you something that will help you improve your work, and it's just going to be there to do it, right? And to your point, we're not charging for it. So when next time you upgrade or update rather, the next time you update, it'll be there, right? So to me, that approach is the smart one, and not only the smart one, it really makes the point for Oracle the way it's supposed to be made. And I thought the one deficiency, I'll call it to some degree, was that it didn't really they didn't really do much to really show the impact this would have on employee and customer experience, really. Um, Again, I get why, because Oracle is a full stack company and it tends not to be their big focus. Although, given how well CX is actually doing at Oracle, it might be a reasonable expectation to hear more about that impact than we did. I also thought it was a little bit, I mean, generally, I was very impressed with what I saw there. And I've been, over the years, the last few years, increasingly impressed with Oracle as they've moved forward with all the changes at the company and Redwood and everything else, and the advances in Redwood. You can see, for example, on the Redwood side, it's completely inculcated into the culture at this point, and almost everywhere. I can't say absolutely everywhere, but we saw with Jenny and Hillel, who pretty much showing us a lot of what they're doing, and then I would say I was a little disappointed given last year when Larry gave easily the best speech he's ever given. And he actually talked about, in his way, of course, the good that Oracle was attempting to do was the complete lack of any of that this year. And the speech went back to kind of old ones and zeros, which was sad. But at the same time, to Oracle's credit, they're just being very smart right now. And again, this is a company I go all the way back to the 90s hating, right? I absolutely hated them, right? Despised them. But at the same time, right now, I'm on the other end of that now. I completely admire the way they were approaching it. I think there's a lot they could still do, but at the same time, very impressed with the AI is part of what you do it's part of what you'll have to help you work better. And to me, that's a much smarter and better approach than, say, Salesforce did take at Dreamforce.
So I think I think it was Steve Miranda that said, "How can you charge for AI like it's something separate?" Which I really appreciated him saying that. I'm still stuck on how Canva is trying to basically do exactly that. Increase their prices like 300%.
Yeah.
And then you have the complete opposite take, which I think is going to be much more appreciated, which is AI is not a separate thing. So why would you try to charge separately for it? And I think there are other companies that are going to struggle with that. But it's good to see that Oracle is one, just based off what Steve said. And by the way, Steve actually watched our live stream, which is really cool. And he commented, he said he thought, what did he say? We were abusing or something like that?
He thought it was real. He said, you guys were, all of you guys were really funny. And then he said, I never thought I'd see me mystery science theatered.
Yeah.
Which to me is honestly the ultimate compliment. That's really what we're going for.
Yeah, well, I think I got him excited because I told him that you guys hated his last keynote.
No,
so
definitely working off of that one.
He wanted to see if he had an improved review this time around. So
yeah, no, I am 100% certain it's based off of exactly that.
Yeah. But I thought, I think we did 4 watch parties. We did one for Safra, for Larry, for Steve, and for Rob
Tarkoff.
Yeah. I would say I probably got the most out of Rob's because
me too.
He was CX, so that's kind of go on it. But I did get a lot out of Steve's. Actually, Steve's I would be a close second because his felt like a much more natural presentation, even natural conversations that he had on stage with his customers. Didn't get that same feeling from Safra's opening keynote.
No, I think you made a good point about it with Safra. I think it was you who made the point that it felt like a talk show. Like it's just like one person after another. And she's a good interviewer. She really is. But at the same time, she had nothing to announce. I mean, they basically put her in a position to be kind of, high. You can be it's like an opening comedy act. That's actually they made deliberately gave no material.
Yeah, I think opening the whole show up with a series of customer interviews without any announcements, without
No context.
yeah, it was. I wouldn't have done that. Larry started off great. I mean, when he brought out the AWS CEO, and they kind of had this. I know it's not totally unscripted, but it felt a bit organic, their conversation. And then when they brought the customer on, and then when the AWS guy started, and asking the customer questions, and Larry's kind of just sitting back. I thought that was the best part of Larry's keynote. He
Well, yeah, because
delivered a lot of stuff.
when the AWS guy comes on, you're like, when does Game of Thrones start here? Like,
Is this the red
when,
wedding?
yeah, when does someone walk the plank? But yeah, it was all like chums and friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's amazing.
But I really think with a little bit of like extra planning, they could have like tied last year's keynote together to this one a lot
Yeah.
better by saying, remember last year when I talked about this ambition around healthcare? It's like,
Yeah.
well, to make this reality, there's some things we got to address, and they have to do with hardcore topics like security, technology, integration, the right partnerships, like kind of frame it a little bit. So like, this is why we're going to go under the hood, because we
Yep.
can't solve these big problems without that. I think that would have helped really kind of connect the dots. So that would be my sort of thing. If I, of course they're not going to ask me to advise them on that stuff, because Larry's going to do what Larry does. But if Larry was ever in a mood for advice, that's what I would have said.
Did he talk at all about the healthcare stuff?
Not to
No,
my
not in the
knowledge,
keynote.
no.
I don't believe he
That's-
touched on it.
Yeah, that is kind of a disconnect, because he really did a great job last year, kind of
Yep.
laying that out, and to not bring that up again, kind of a missed opportunity. I think. I know he was excited about the zipper stuff, but yeah.
Yep. Come on, keep it PG here, Brent. Let's not go into the
That's
R.
my initials, so you can say anything you want.
Keep it PG,
Keep it
man.
PG,
You
yeah.
can say anything you want. I'm in New
But
York.
overall, I think they're on. I like the direction they're going in, and I like they're a company that plays to their strength. Their strength is being able to pull everything together from what they call it, bare metal, up to the app layer or whatever. So I think they played to their strengths. It could have been demonstrated and brought out a little bit stronger during those first two opening keynotes.
Well, the other thing that was impressive, which you just alluded to, John, was the collaboration side of it. I mean, this was like the polar opposite of prior years. I mean, they were a little better last year, for example, but this year was all partner, wonderful partner. We love you, partner, right? And it was everybody, like everybody under the sun.
Yeah. Even NetSuite announced a partnership with Salesforce, and
Yeah.
and so like deeper integration. So it's like nothing was off limits, right? And I think that's honestly what today's customers want to hear. We all like the fisticuffs because it's entertaining, but from a customer perspective, it's a total waste of time. It's like, please just cooperate and make the stuff work together, because I've invested in all of you, and I just want to see you get along.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
John, why don't you talk a little bit more about Sweet World?
Sweet World. Well, I think, Oracle acquired NetSuite, and in a large part, I think, has really invested well in NetSuite, and you had to wonder how that was going to play out, because would NetSuite kind of get subsumed into the sort of Fusion applications and you kind of lose it? But no, they've kind of kept a very distinct approach, and we wrote a ton of articles on that show. But one of the benefits for NetSuite then is really taking advantage of this overall investment in AI and infrastructure. And so Oracle's going to argue that NetSuite has a little bit of an unfair advantage there, as well as kind of global footprint capabilities and stuff like that. And so I think that's a very energized customer base you have at NetSuite, because of all the investments that are getting made that you can piggyback onto. And so, Evan Goldberg, in talking with media, he's echoing a lot of the same sort of AI points that we're getting from, Oracle as well. So, and in some ways, we pressed him on some of the AI stuff, and he'd be like, well, I'm going to leave that to Steve Moran is going to figure that out first, and then so it gives them a lot of freedom to kind of figure out what they want to take on and what they want to allow Oracle to take on first, and then follow behind. So, puts them in a strong position. I mean, I think like the where you start to poke holes in Oracle and NetSuite is if you have companies that are really looking for deep value on the cost side, then well, these are premium products and they're going to come, they're going to charge what they think they're worth, and so that's sort of the big thing for Oracle is sometimes you can get underneath them on a cost perspective, but in terms of the caliber of what they're executing on, it's really hard to quibble right now.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to talk to Sam Levy, who's SVP over at Oracle NetSuite. It's a few good minutes. I haven't got it posted yet, but that's coming up. And I also talked to one of the NetSuite customers, a company called Johnny Pops. They actually manufacture ice cream pops and bars and things like that. They're based out of Minnesota. So I immediately was happy because, that's the home of Prince and all that. And so they were talking about how the relationship with Oracle really gives them a lot better feeling about the direction of NetSuite, because like you have this big company that's backing, NetSuite. So all the technology and all the stuff that we kind of talked about at Cloud World eventually carries over to what happens with NetSuite. And that actually gives like a certain level of comfort to a lot of the NetSuite customers, because they're like, hey, if they are piggybacking off of Oracle, that means we'll get a lot of the technology eventually that comes down that way. So I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, I think they said they had about 7,500. I think it was the biggest Suite World ever, like 7,500 customers, attendees. They said they crossed the 40,000 customer mark. So if I'm not mistaken, Sam said something to the effect of when the acquisition was made, like 2016, I think, they roughly had about 11,000 NetSuite customers. Now they're up to 40,000.
Wow.
So it's like 4x in like 8 or 9 years. So that's pretty significant. And once again, NetSuite really benefits completely from all the stuff that Oracle's doing. And even got the Oracle Redwood design interface now. So Suite World, it's funny how you don't hear a lot about them compared to some of these other companies, but they're doing really well, kind of being able to ride the coattails, so to speak.
They've always been a smart company. I mean, when Zach was still pre-acquisition, was still CEO there. I mean, I met them in 2004. I mean, it was a long time ago. And
Johnny Pops, that's right, Josh.
Hey, my question is it any good? Is the ice cream?
You know what? They gave away, apparently they gave away a ton of them because it was like 105 degrees that one day. And I did not get one because they were all given out. So what? I couldn't tell you. I know.
No VIP analyst treatment?
Absolutely not. No,
a box of strawberry Johnny.
But you know what? Yeah. The other thing about the partnerships, they did announce, I think it's called Suite Procurement. So you can actually order things from Amazon Basic and I think another retailer right from within the application now, which I thought was pretty interesting.
So, and the Salesforce integration, I think it kind of shows you the confidence of NetSuite right now, because they have their own CRM offering, but they're not sweating like that. They're realizing like, look, this is what our customers want. They want choice, and that's operating from a position of strength. And I think that's sort of the vibe you got from Oracle at this show, is that we're operating from a position of strength. And, that gives them confidence, but it also, you have to be a little careful of that too, right? Because it's when you're, riding high that sometimes you get exposed a little bit. So we'll have to see. They still have a lot of work to do, but it's hard to quibble with what they put on in Vegas there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to San Francisco and Dreamforce. Whoever wants to talk.
John, you want to start?
Well, I was really on the remote action side of that because I was at Workday at the same time. But I think, Dreamforce remains the signature enterprise event of the year. There's just no arguing that. I mean, even the question about where will Dreamforce be located in the future is like, creates like reams of media every year, right? And this tie to San Francisco feels really important, but it's also a sign of the times that that's sort of under question a little bit. But obviously it was a show that reverberated with AI themes and agent themes, and how Salesforce executes upon all of that is what I'm going to be watching.
I will tell you though, their approach. I mean, even though the net effect of what they were saying was going to be ultimately similar to what Oracle was presenting too, but the context was different. So Oracle's approach was you work, here's AI to support your work. Salesforce's approach was here's AI, it can support your work, right? But AI was the umbrella, was the
Agent Force.
Yeah, Agent Force and AI with a framework. And
Right.
I think what it led to, which was on the positive side, was aside from 3 spectacularly good demos, which showed the day-to-day working of Agent Force and some other things, really, really well. And it also led to an implicit, without being explicit, a little better representation of the impact on customers and on employees of AI than Oracle presented, because Oracle was really about effectiveness, efficiency, all that stuff. But it was still, AI was the framework, work was inside there, as opposed to Oracle, which I think was ultimately the better framework. That said, the other thing that I was a little bit disappointed in, to be honest, was given all the past years, especially, and given that, look, I mean, in 2023, Salesforce took a big hit and got terrified by the activist investors and the layoffs and the handling of layoffs and all that. At the end of 2023, they regained a lot of trust that they had lost by the Dreamforce. I mean, they did a great job with both the technology side and the trust layer and everything else that they incorporated, but also on, let's say, the right messages came across in terms of you can trust us as a company, and they kept that as an overwhelming theme. Salesforce tends to overwhelm with everything. This time, it was a noticeable, almost non-existence of philanthropy as part of what they talked about. There was no, I literally when I did Talking Headless yesterday, I was talking with Martin Schneider. I didn't remember any discussion of philanthropy in the keynote. He said that there was some, but I either I was asleep, either I'm starting to lose my memory, or it was so insignificant that I didn't even notice it. And
welcome to the aftershocks of activist investors, Paul.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And that's the part that I have to say bothers me the most, although there are some signs of good hope there.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Brohammer has a hard stop at the top of the hour, so why don't we get his take, his correspondency or whatever you want to call it about Workday Rising, since you were there.
Yeah, and one thing you can maybe pick up on after I leave is this whole thing around, I would say Salesforce's greatest strength isn't its AI architecture, but its culture.
Yes.
And the culture
the
culture is what is threatened by some of the reverberations of this activist investor
stakeholder versus shareholder.
So anyway, so that's I think a fruitful topic to be explored
exactly
further.
Where to go.
So anyway, Workday, what do you want to know?
What happened?
What happened? What happened? Well, Workday had a few AI conversations as well. Look, Workday is also a company that I think has a very clear vision of what they're trying to do and generally executes it on it very effectively, but is also a premium vendor, right? So they're not going to be a discount provider, though they are looking to go down market some. But for the most part, their thing is like, they're no longer just about HR, though they have I think a lot of times their talent in HR story is often some of their best stuff, but they got 2,000 plus financials customers now. They got Adaptive, and they really look at it in terms of bringing it together, the CIO and the CFO and the, CHRO or whatever. So they want to speak to all 3 of those audiences now. And I think they do a pretty, effective job of that overall. From an AI perspective, their pricing is similar to Oracle's. It will be interesting to see if they can hold up on that. They don't have the full stack, efficiencies that Oracle does, but they're right now they're taking that same stance of embedded in your cost is this AI. So one thing I found really interesting is just talking with customers on the ground, and just vendors are really overselling AI more than they need to. They're pushing it too hard because customers are interested, and customers, I keep telling vendors, like, don't sell it so hard and just let's have a talk. Like, let's get the trust going. Let's get under the hood and explain what you're doing differently. And, so in some of my conversations with Workday, I was able to get to the bottom of some of that, and, learn a little bit there. They built some of their own large language models, which is very different than a lot of vendors. Even Oracle hasn't built their own large language models. So Workday's getting a lot of deep AI experience, but we're still in the early days. I mean, agents are what's next, and Workday's talking a lot about that too. And they announced their whole Illuminate AI framework, and that includes the agents, the 50 plus, whatever they're going to work on as well. They got a bunch of agents underway. But the point is, like, what does this mean for customers now is a little bit of a different conversation. So, customers on the ground have questions and concerns, but they're also starting to talk a little bit more about real projects. And so we're starting to hear more about that. What generative AI really looks like, in a live setting. But it's still early days to get those live discussions. So, I don't know. I mean, it was an interesting show from that vantage point, but I published a lot on it, and there was some fun controversies. I asked the executive team about this controversial Workday customer that's quote unquote supposedly ripping out Salesforce and Workday for AI. And so that creates a lot of like potential for like viral content around, is AI changing everything? And now we don't even need software anymore, which is total bullshit, but it leads to a very interesting conversation. So I wrote about that. So it was a good packed week.
Okay.
So what's up next for you?
I got a little bit of downtime, and then I'm going to hit the road, and I got a bunch of different shows in a variety of areas. I got a SAP spend show coming up on spend management. Then I'm going to be UI Path Forward. I'm going to be at Constellation Connected Enterprise. Couple of analyst days coming up. So it's going to be kind of a hodgepodge, a poo-poo platter of AI discussions and stuff, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. I'm doing a slight shameless plug. Brian and I are doing a halftime show on Friday where we're going to get a little deeper into what we've learned so far.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the total halftime.
Friday,
okay,
what time?
4:00. So
4 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. So we'll dig down into like the highs and lows and what we learned so far. And I got some fairly controversial things to say.
What you?
Yep.
Controversial?
Yeah, but mostly it's about how vendors have overplayed their hand on the keynote stage with AI and forgotten to emphasize all the cool kick-ass stuff their customers are already doing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's I can't spoil the host show.
Save it for.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Y'all are warmly invited, of course, to feel free to chime in if you're available. But
yeah,
we shall see.
I don't think I'll have power by then, but
Yeah. We're batting out the hatches, man. My mom lives in Tallahassee, so I've been in constant communication.
She's
with
in
her
Tallahassee. Ooh.
Yep. So she's going to get a big hit.
Well,
so.
She's already gone, right? She's left, evacuated. Right?
She's not evacuated, but she has a pretty good plan for survival in place. But this is like hardcore stuff, man.
Yeah.
So
well, good luck to her.
Yeah.
It's rolling right up our.
It is,
right
man. You may not have power on Friday. You're right about that. So.
Yeah, I'm planning on that really. So we'll see.
Gonna be nasty, man.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed the live streams at Oracle. That was fun. Thanks for the peanut gallery. That was good times.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. We got to figure out another way. Like when you're at one conference and we're at another, we want to do like a live look. That's the next deal.
Are you up for that?
Oh yeah, we're gonna give it a roll, man.
Hey, look who it is,
Dean. Oh my God, man! How are you?
Is he still at service? Are you still at service now?
Read what he's saying.
Oh, I didn't even read it.
Oh, the philanthropic heartbeat is still very strong. Absolutely. And look, I don't think any of us were saying that it wasn't. I think we were just picking up on the fact that vendors face different cultural challenges at different points. And the reality is that activist investors force ruthlessness around operational efficiencies that change your cultural perception. So,
look, ultimately, Dean, what we're really talking about here is the de-emphasis in the keynote. I mean, typically it was the opening of the keynote, right? Where you would talk about and there was a lot of discussion and interviews with people who you were doing service, or you were working with on philanthropic things, etc.
Gotta
Not
run.
that Salesforce is no longer
Take care, man.
philanthropic.
Good luck.
But
with
yeah,
tomorrow.
absolutely. Salesforce has plenty of opportunities to back that up in the future, and
Yeah.
hopefully they will. Catch you guys.
See ya.
Take care, man.
Very cool. I didn't know he had gone back to Salesforce. That's pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad you're there. I'm glad
He's
you're there.
Now in the office of the wow. Now that's a job. Congratulations, man.
Dean, you're always a rock star wherever you are. I know that much.
I bet that's a pretty big office too.
He said go back up one
Well, I
question.
saw that. Yeah, Boomerang last year.
Last year.
But you see where he's in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, man. And thanks for pointing it out. Again, we're not questioning Salesforce's philanthropic outlook
Never.
and activity. It's just a matter of emphasis in the keynote, right? That was what we were talking about. It was de-emphasized from prior keynote. Every keynote I've ever attended, except this one, it was emphasized, not de-emphasized. This one was de-emphasized.
So does that tell you the importance they're putting on this whole agent thing with Agent Force, Agent Blazers, and
yeah, I mean, I think they're overstating that a bit. I honestly, a trailblazer is a trailblazer in different fields, and it's okay to call them trailblazers, for Agent Force rather than Agent Blazers. But I think it's more a reflection of Salesforce having to regain a lot of the power that John talked about, which is their differentiator forever has always been their culture. Always.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their power.
That's the thing. Like when you look at the kind of the back-to-back Cloud World and Dreamforce, they each had their key distinguishing kind of traits. But the most interesting one is how, like you were saying, they branded everything Agent Blazer, Agent Force, all that kind of stuff. But look at the Agent Blazer. What did that represent? Like that whole ecosystem of the training in the community they have. They're bringing that along with all the technology stuff around the agent stuff. That to me is just as important. Is kind of like the missing component to most of the other big time vendors. They didn't feel like they brought the community, they brought the ecosystem along like Salesforce is bringing the ecosystem and the community and the training arm along with their platform and their stack. That was really the thing that got my interest with what was going on last week the most.
Yeah, I mean, look, the other thing I'll just say in general about Salesforce, and this is going to sound maybe strange, but there's no other vendor that has a golden hoodie. And that might sound ridiculous, but it actually is not ridiculous at all. I had a conversation with someone at Salesforce, a senior executive, who was telling me about a call that they did, and on this call, I think you were there. They did this call to someone who was actually going to be getting a golden hoodie, and they mentioned it by accident on the call because she didn't know yet. The person didn't know yet, and the person literally broke down in tears and started to cry and said, "This is one of the greatest moments of my whole life." And the thing is, that's how meaningful that is to people. I mean, it's recognition at a level. Look, they took it from America's Got Talent. That's pretty obvious. Golden buzzer, golden hoodie, and dropping golden confetti in both of them. It's fairly blatant. But I will tell you, it's really important because it shows the depth of the quality and the quality of the culture that attracts people to Salesforce. It's not, to John's point, it's not the AI, it's not the product, it's the culture of the company. When they got hit last year, what you began seeing was a shift from basically a stakeholder focused company to a shareholder focused company. Are they fully there? No. There's enough, let's call it cultural resistance in a good sense of the word, meaning Salesforce has institutionalized their culture deeply to probably prevent that from ever being totally the result. But it did take a hit. And now, look, it has nothing to do with the quality of the people, how much you enjoy being there when you're there, like the analyst reception that we were at, which had a lot of the senior executives there, like David Schmeier, who will be a guest on our show, he said. I'm just saying it publicly now. people like that being at this thing, and how enjoyable it was, just how much the camaraderie was there, the friendship was there, the good vibes, basically. All of that might sound silly when it comes to being an analyst and being someone in the tech world, but it's not at all. So I think that still needs some work to regain where it was, but at the same time has enough institutional strength to keep Salesforce from becoming just another shareholder company that is just doing what their investors tell them to do, right? Or try to force them to do and react poorly to it. They had a bad moment. They recovered from that, but the what's the word? The tentacles, the pieces of the bad moment are still around, and they gotta basically extirpate that.
Yep. The other thing that I don't know if it flew under the radar, but everything was so focused on the kind of the agent force stuff was the Salesforce Foundations thing, where the folks who have enterprise editions will get access to pretty much everything, like Data Cloud, Commerce Cloud. I mean, the all the underpinnings that that Salesforce has as their platform enriched with data and AI. Everybody on the I think enterprise and up will have access to it to get a chance to play around with it and determine if they, what pieces do they want to plug in, because as they aptly say, it kind of sounds like a sales pitch, but it's actually makes sense. The more pieces you have, the more data, the kind of different kind of types of data that you have access to, and you're able to run it through the AI platform, the better your insights and hopefully the logic for your agents will get. And so getting the ability to try some of that out without having a lot of effort or a lot of lift to do so, that might be a bigger thing than most people are paying attention to right now.
If I remember correctly, wasn't it set up as like a freemium model?
Well, it's actually, and this is the thing that really irritates me, because I'm gonna have to re-record. I had this really great conversation with Chris Billmeyer, who was the guy that heads up. I think he's SVP and GM of Salesforce growth, which is the starter and the essentials and the pro kind of levels, which is really what the SMB kind of came under, and that was rebuilt to have, so SMBs could basically have everything like sales, marketing, and service all together, and commerce. So they basically kind of took that foundation and created Salesforce Foundations, and now people who have the enterprise edition will be able to take advantage of that kind of offering to get a chance to actually see how they want to, which pieces do they really will want to use in the future, and be able to test it out without paying a lot of money up front, right? So I think that's and of course next month when they roll out Agent Force, it automatically has that integrated in too. So it's going to be a really interesting to see how that impacts the kind of the adoption of some of this stuff, because it was when Mark mentioned it on the keynote stage, but it almost felt like it was kind of towards the end, and all the other things that had already kind of gotten a lot of the attention. That's one I think is going to be getting more and more attention as time goes on, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And one other thing I know, because we're kind of short on time here, but the one other thing I will say that I just call out again from earlier, if you didn't attend and you didn't see them, actually make a point of watching the demos that were done during the keynote, right? The 3 demos. There really are extraordinary demos. They were I think at the time, Brent, you mentioned they were the best demos you had seen this year. Yeah. I haven't been to as many conferences, but I absolutely agree with you. I thought they were amazing, and they really they showed the actual impact of AI and Salesforce products in a given action being taken by a given individual or individuals, really. actions being taken. Really, really, really well done. Just even if you don't watch the rest of the keynote, watch the demos. We'll see if we can maybe find where in the keynote the time is, but probably won't, even though I say we will. So we probably won't do it just because I know I won't. So I'm being lazy, and Brent's got no power soon.
Yeah.
So he won't. So just find them, do it. All right. Just amazing.
One quick note before we go on Verint Engage. I thought it was good, and I thought they're creating a lot of. You remember they were kind of the ones they were talking about the bots, and they they went naming them and kind of have personality. They came out with a number of new ones. They've got like a suite of 4 of them they call it their co-pilot bots. So yeah, but they're still talking in terms of bots. I think, and I mean, these bots really do some really interesting and important kind of stuff. So I don't want to diminish that. But what I think they're gonna be challenged with is, especially coming on the heels of what happened with Dreamforce, where they all but made it sound like bots were like yesterday's news, bots and co-pilots, and now we're talking about AI agents and assistants and things. I think they're going to have to figure out a better way of positioning that in the broader industry kind of talking, mind share, because if some of these bigger companies are starting to talk about agents and I don't know if they're diminishing what co-pilots and bots are, but we heard the way Salesforce was talking about it.
They were autonomous agents.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Agents have autonomous. They have the ability to make their own decisions, so to speak. Whereas kind of bots traditionally, you got to tell them what to do, and they'll do them. So I think what Verint is gonna, and anybody else who's still talking more so about bots as opposed to agents, they're gonna have to have a good way of really explaining and positioning what their bots may actually be more like agents. But if you're using that term, it might confuse people, and where everybody else or the other big companies who kind of get all the mind share, they're talking about agents and you're talking about bots, that might be a bit confusing to your customer base.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, look, ultimately, when you're looking at, I'd say more Salesforce than Oracle, but even Oracle too, autonomy was a big deal, and we've been hearing that from Pega for a long time, right?
The autonomous
and it's essentially the same thing. I think it's just Pega's message is probably a little more autonomy and less AI, and everyone else's is a little more AI and less autonomy, but at the same time, it's autonomous agents, and that's a step forward, and it really is. It could be interesting one in terms of where it goes, but it's a really, really big step forward in terms of what it's going to mean for essentially how AI gets used at companies. So to your point, I think, look, Dan and Verint have to just address it. They have to, one way or the other, they have to figure out how to address that. I mean, their bots are really, they're basically incredibly well done microservices is what they are, and they're really well done.
And I want to. They were stressing outcomes, like their bots lead to better outcomes, and I think that's a really good way to position it. Like for example, their Copilot, I think that's they have a smart transfer bot, they have a knowledge automation bot, they have a coach bot, and they got a wrap up bot. I think I got all 4 of them. So, and they were showing how that suite of bots under the Copilot bot could cut the time an agent has for resolving something from 6 minutes down to 3 minutes or something like that. So you can see there's some, if you have like 300 or 3,000 agents and you're getting that kind of time saving, that could be huge. So talking about it from the outcome standpoint is great, but calling it a bot is something they're going to have to they're going to have to deal with a little bit.
And
not to say that they can't.
And then if they call it Charlie, that's not going to work either. Right. Listen, Dean he actually found the time. Dean, once again, you're awesome, man. Thank you. I mean, you have saved me something I wouldn't have done. Right. So, but I really mean this. So everyone who's hears this, sees this later, watches it this far, at the 50/30 mark of the link that Dean has there for the keynote, watch those demos. They are just extraordinary.
Yep. All right. I got to go.
Love you right
down.
back, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I'm going to hunker down because I'm guessing, I don't know, 12 hours from now, I will not have power.
I will
Who
be
knows how
checking in with
long?
you, of course.
So I got to make sure all my stuff is charged up and ready to go. So I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and even with a raging hurricane, we cannot leave without saying goodbye to Minnie.
See ya.
Later.